More mountain men died from infected blisters than from bear attack. So why do we still picture them as invincible? Today, we're breaking down what real survival looked like. It shows what the mountain men knew and what we've forgotten. The land hasn't changed. Most people just got soft. Out there, the smallest mistake could kill you. And it still can. My name is Sam, and this is Wild America. And now, let's start with what kept mountain men alive when things got rough. Number 7. Firearms. Back in the 1800s, on the frontier, a gun wasn't for show. Mountain men depended on them. If you couldn't shoot straight, reload fast, fix a jam, and clean your weapon, you didn't last. Hunting meant eating. Protection is what stood between you and a grizzly or another man. Out there, there was no law and no one to save you in case you get into any trouble. You handled everything yourself. Back then, the rifle they trusted was the Hawken. Oh boy, what a rifle it was. We've got a special episode on this baby, so be sure to check it out later on. This beauty was built in St. Louis by Jacob and Samuel Hawken, and it was a 50 or 55 caliber muzzle loader. It was big, heavy, and tough. It dropped bison, elk, and bears. Unlike lighter Eastern rifles, the Hawken packed a punch and held up when things got ugly. Black powder guns needed constant care. One shot, then clean it. Skip that, and your next shot might misfire, or worse, blow the barrel. Reloading meant pouring powder, patching a ball, ramming it down, fast with cold fingers and no room for mistakes. Some say not everyone back then carried guns. Maybe. But most knew how to use one. Like starting a fire or dressing a wound, it was just part of life. And yes, accidents happened. No safety courses. Just you and a loaded gun. That part hasn't changed. Guns are still tools. They still feed and protect people. And in some places, they're still the last line between you and real danger. If you spend time deep in the wild, not just at a campground, it's smart to know how to use a firearm. Doesn't matter if it's modern or old, the skill still counts. In survival circles, whether it be off-grid, backwoods, or just being ready, firearms matter. Same reasons: food and protection. Remote living makes it real. Back in the 1800s, mountain men learned quick. Small caliber rifles didn't cut it out west, so they switched to bigger, tougher guns because they worked when it mattered. That still applies today. In a storm, disaster, or deep in the wild, help might not come. A gun can mean survival if you know how to use it. Neglect it, and it becomes a danger, not a tool. The old way demanded care. Ammo was scarce. Every shot was hand-packed and counted. That mindset still matters. Know your weapon. Practice. Don't waste shots. You've also got to know where the round lands and when not to shoot. So yeah, the mental side matters too. And do you know what else matters out there in the wilderness? Warmth? Number 6. The eternal flame. Always has been. For mountain men, it was life or death. They had no lighters like we do now, just flint, steel, and whatever they could find. Frontier legends such as Jim Bridger and Jedediah Smith carried kits: flint, steel, maybe charcloth. They'd catch sparks on dry fungus or scorched fabric. If that failed, they used bow drills. Yeah, it's slow, hard work, but freezing in the Rockies leaves no choice. And you know, tinder wasn't random. They hunted for birch bark, cattail fluff, dry pine needles, stuff that lights even when wet. They packed the good stuff, ready to go. Same idea as modern fire kits. Fire gave them warmth, food, clean water, protection. It was also a signal. Smoke meant something when help was miles away. And now, lighters fail, matches get wet. A few years ago, in 2021, a hiker stuck in Montana made fire with quartz and a knife. It saved him. The Federal Emergency Management Agency says fire starting is a top survival skill. Most emergencies need heat or a signal within 2 days. Or else, survival schools still teach it. Tinder bundles from cedar bark, fatwood, birch. Even apps can help, but hands-on work sticks. It's slow and messy, but it works. Today we think about impact, use fire rings, skip live trees. Mountain men didn't have that luxury, but we do. So we carry pits, use downed wood, dig Dakota holes to keep it low, and spare the land. And fire still calms people. Slowing down, focusing, making it happen, it grounds you. A 2020 study backed that up. Fire making lowers stress, gives control, same as it did in a blizzard 200 years ago. Today's tools, however, are better. For instance, ferro rods spark hot, even on bad tinder. Backpackers and soldiers carry them. It's still about knowing how to use what works. But you know, some fires just don't go out. The lighter you move, the longer you last. Number 5. Lightweight. Mountain men packed light? They had to. Every extra pound made things harder. Most carried 30 pounds or less. A rifle, powder, knife, hatchet, some traps, maybe a blanket and fire kit. No extras. Just enough to hunt, eat, stay warm, and keep moving. The wilderness was pretty rough. Thick woods, freezing rivers, killer mountain passes. Slow meant dead. Predators, weather, thieves. Speed was your only edge. Weight killed that edge. Mountain men moved on foot or horseback. Lighter loads meant fewer injuries, less fatigue, and better focus. There was no need for pack animals or extra help. You moved cleaner. John Colter got it. After Lewis and Clark, he stayed out west, lived with the Crow, learned their ways. He traveled like them, light, fast, and efficient. From fall 1707 to spring 1708, Colter walked nearly 1,000 miles, alone, in winter, through rough country. He carried just 30 pounds. That'll teach you what matters real quick. The Crow showed him how to live off the land year-round. If you didn't carry it, you made it, or did without. Clothes were also used as tools. Everything had more than one job. And speaking of Colter, we've got an 8-hour special episode on him, so don't forget to check it out after this one. But yeah, people still get this wrong. They pack for comfort, carry too much. It slows them down, clouds their thinking, and that's how people get hurt. Modern survival still comes back to the same truth. Carry less, no more. Gear helps, but knowledge weighs nothing. If you know how to build shelter, make fire, or use what's around you, you don't need to haul everything. You're not stuck relying on things that break like batteries, fuel, or overbuilt gear. In a crisis, speed matters too. Wildfire, flood, war zone, it's all the same. Mobility saves lives. Heavy packs slow you down. A lighter load means faster choices, more energy, better chances. Ultralight backpackers get it. They trim weight everywhere. Small shelters, simple stoves, multi-use gear, just enough food. It's simple math, really. Less weight equals more distance. Survival schools and military drills do the same. Almost no gear, just essentials. It's all about finding what really works. You adapt, improvise. Then you keep moving, and your mind clears. You stop worrying about gear. You lean on skill, not stuff. That clarity can save your life. And now that you're moving light, let's look closer. It's time to read the land. Number 4. Tracking and wildlife knowledge. Alone in the wilderness, like Jim Bridger or Jedediah Smith, you either read the land or died. You had no GPS or any other device, just miles of tough ground, predators, and hunger. Tracking told you where food was, where danger hid, how fresh a trail was. Ground, brush, air. If you knew how to read them, they spoke. Mountain men studied tracks. Elk left big, blocky prints, 4 inches, toes splayed in soft soil. Mule deer were smaller, heart-shaped, with a pointier front. Moose prints were huge, blunt, 5 to 7 inches long. Nothing else looked like that. As for predators, wolves and coyotes showed claw marks. Cougars and lynx didn't. Their prints looked smooth, oval. Bears were easy. They had wide paws, long curved claws, back feet like giant human prints. But it wasn't only shapes. Movement mattered too. Walking deer, 2-foot gaps. Running, 6 to 8. Grazing, close together. Mud showed detail. Snow distorted detail. One print wasn't enough. You watched for patterns, and sometimes tracks didn't tell the full story. So you looked up. Broken branches said who fed there and how tall. Deer browsed at 3 to 4 feet. Moose higher. Bears snapped branches reaching fruit. Green breaks meant it just happened. Then there were rubs. Bucks scraped antlers on trees. Hair stuck in bark helped ID the animal. Reddish for mule deer, black-tipped for bear. Scat helped too. Herbivores dropped dry pellets. Predators left twisted piles with fur, even bone. Then you step back to see the whole picture. Game trails and hard to spot unless you knew. For example, narrow, faint paths with pressed grass, bent stems, patches of mud, these led to water or ridges. And water crossings were key. Hooves cut into banks. Beavers left smooth slides from dragging logs. And when you're tracking, don't just follow footprints. Use 3 checks. First, anchor yourself. Pick a landmark so you don't drift. Second, trace the path, not every mark. Third, confirm. Look nearby for signs. A snapped branch, scat, another print near a rub. That's how you know it's fresh. And always check the wind. It doesn't make noise, but it decides everything. And you can't see it, but animals can smell you if it's blowing wrong. That's how you lose them or run into trouble. Old-timers stayed downwind. They read wind with grass, leaves, or smoke. Once you know the direction, don't walk straight in. Zigzag. Flank the trail. Let your scent flow away. To aid with that, mask your smell. Rub pine, smear mud, stay out of the breeze. Don't bring strong smells. Even a bite of smoked meat can blow your cover. Wind changes with terrain. In valleys, for instance, air rises in the morning and drops at night. Early on, your scent rides up. By mid-morning, thermals lifted higher. That helps if you're behind and moving uphill. But if the wind changes, stop. Don't push it. Back out or change course. Once they smell you, you're done. Mountain men weren't lucky. They paid attention. They watched the land. Every sign, every wind shift, it meant something. They moved with it, not against it. That awareness comes from slowing down. If your phone's dead, your map's soaked, and the trail's gone, this is what's left. A print, a breeze, a narrow game trail to water. You spot cougar tracks, 3 inches, clean, no claws. You don't keep walking. You stop, you listen. You've got to read the land without a screen. That's pure survival. Less guessing, more seeing. We've got GPS, maps, trail cams now, but what if the signal dies? What if batteries fail? Tracking doesn't. It runs on awareness, not power. Hunters still use it for clean, quick kills. Biologists follow signs to study wolves, cougars, endangered species, especially in places like Yellowstone. Wildlife photographers rely on it too, not drones, just quiet, patience, and knowing where to be. Search and rescue? Same thing. A print, bent grass, snapped twig. Sometimes that's what finds someone. It's what mountain men used. Still works. Also, tracking teaches you what technology can't. Self-reliance. GPS won't see high ant mounds before rain or a fading wolf track. But you might if you're watching. The more you learn, the more you see. How migration moves. How forests fall silent. That awareness makes you part of the land, not just a visitor. Some schools still teach it. Boulder Outdoor Survival School trains long-form tracking, and they've been around in Utah since 1968. Even more, apps like iTrack Wildlife help log signs. New tech, old skill. But in the end, it's you, the ground, and what your senses catch. That's the skill. That's the edge. Now, reading the wild is hard, but surviving your own mind? Much harder. Number 3, mental resilience. Now, aside from battling cold and hunger and whatever else the wilderness tried to throw at you, mountain men also had to fight their minds. We're talking about long silence. The wild didn't care how tough you looked, only if you could hang on when things went bad. Mental resilience was real survival. When storms hit, food ran low, and something followed you at night. And if your mind broke, your body went next. Guys like Jim Bridger and Jedediah Smith wandered alone for weeks. No voices, just wind. Maybe wolves? That kind of quiet messes with you. Time warps, purpose fades, focus slips. And you know, we have studies on it now. But these frontier legends didn't. They just lived it. They didn't fight the loneliness. They accepted it. They didn't waste energy feeling better. They simply had to stay dry, fed, alert. Now that shift from comfort to necessity, that was the edge. Still is. Resilience keeps you thinking when fear hits. You've got to move through fear, step by step. And it's built, not born. Built through stress. Science backs it. Resilience is habits. Self-talk, framing setbacks, whether you move or freeze, mindfulness, physical training, staying grounded, it all helps. But at the core, it's this: train your mind to bend, not snap. Mountain men learned this fast. No therapy, no tools. They let fear in, but didn't let it lead. They also expected danger. It wasn't rare, it was constant. Broken bones, frostbite, infection, bites. No hospitals, no meds. Panic killed. So they didn't panic. They treated pain like a signal, not a crisis. Pain meant act, not collapse. Fear's allowed, just don't hand it the wheel. Also, mountain men had to make fast, clear calls. Camp here or move, cross now or wait. Friend or threat, one mistake could kill you. That kind of clarity came from a trained mind, not just experience. They blocked out noise, read the moment, and acted fast. Same rule now. In combat, crisis, or wilderness, freeze and you're done. Then came the hunger, the exhaustion. Days with almost no food. Fatigue scrambles your brain, makes you reckless. But they didn't fold. They broke the day into small tasks. Stay warm, find water, make fire. That microfocus kept them sharp, still used today in survival and therapy. And they faced real loss. Friends and companions gone. Trust broken. Last supplies wiped out overnight. But they learned to set pain aside, just enough to keep going. That kind of emotional discipline is critical. Modern-day combat medics and disaster teams do the same. You can't fall apart mid-crisis. That happens later. In the end, mountain men knew, once the mind breaks, nothing else matters. And now, the next threat to your survival is not in your head. It's far above it. Number 2, weather prediction. As you all know, mountain men didn't have forecasts. No radar, no alerts. The only thing they had was instincts. They read the sky because missing the signs could kill them. Cold rain meant hypothermia. Flash floods could erase a camp. So they watched clouds, wind, animals, every clue. Cirrus clouds, which are thin and high, meant something was coming soon. Cumulonimbus clouds, those tall, dark anvils, these meant move now. Mountain men built fast when warm air hit cold. If you saw one rise over a ridge, you didn't wait. You dropped low, found cover. And in the Rockies, storms came quick. 10 minutes, maybe less. Out in the desert when monsoons roll in, that flat-topped, dark-bottomed cloud means go. Don't stare. Don't guess. Move. People still die waiting too long. Other clouds gave softer warnings. Mackerel skies, altocumulus scattered like fish scales, meant steady rain or snow within a day or so. Not dangerous at first, but enough to soak gear, turn trails to mud, kill fires. And when they saw that sky, they prepped camp and stayed put. In places like the Pacific Northwest, it still means storm. They had other signs too. That old line, red sky at night, sailor's delight, red in morning, sailor take warning. A red sunrise meant low pressure rolling in. More wind, more moisture, worse weather. In the backcountry, if the sky burns red before breakfast, you don't rush a summit. Mountain men read the wind too. West wind, usually calm, but an east wind meant dropping pressure. You could feel it in your ears, your joints, even your skin. Your hair would stand up. All it took was time and attention. Mountain men didn't need a weather app. You still don't if you're watching close. Same signs, same sky, different boots. Also, mountain men watched animals too. Birds, bugs, livestock. They all react before a storm. You just need to know the signs. Swallows were a big one. Insects fly low when pressure drops, so swallows follow. If you saw them skimming low, rain was coming. It's in journals from the 1800s, and paddlers in Minnesota still use it. When the birds disappear, people paddle to shore. Geese were another clue. If they migrated early, winter would hit hard. Science now ties it to hormones, but the old-timers didn't need the why. They saw the signs and got ready. Ranchers still do. Ants gave signals too. Steep-sided mounds meant heavy rain. They were waterproofing. Farmers still check for that. If ants are busy, they prep their fields. As for bees, if they swarm back to the hive fast, a storm's close. Appalachian beekeepers seal hives when they see it. Mammals were the loudest warnings. Deer pulling into thick woods, elk dropping to valleys. That's shelter, not chance. See it, follow suit. Even more, when squirrels bury food like crazy, that meant a rough stretch. Jim Bridger watched for it. So did Colorado runners in 2022. They turned back, a snowstorm hit hours later. Even livestock know. Goats get jumpy, cows lie down, ranchers trust it. From Wyoming to Argentina. This still matters. Hikers in 2023 followed deer uphill. Flash floods came later. The old journals were right. But why should you care? Well, because hypothermia can kill quick. A cold snap can drop your temp fast. And as for flash floods, 1 minute it's dry, the next it's a river. Reading the signs saves energy too. If bad weather's coming, you stop pushing forward. You dig in. Wait it out. Nowadays, smart folks use both tech and instinct. Apps help, weather can and such, but animals tell you what's coming. Even pine cones do. If they close, it means moisture's in the air. So, yeah, technology's great, but if it fails, or you've got no signal, it's the old ways that'll keep you alive. And after the flood, the fall, the fever, what then? Now it's time to treat the aftermath. Number 1, wilderness medicine. Out there in the wilderness, you either handled injuries yourself or you died. You only had your own hands to help you and what you could find. That's why mountain men had to know how to treat wounds, sickness, and pain using the land. They had no other choice. Even a small cut could turn deadly. Infection led to fever. Fever led to risk. And you didn't have antibiotics or do-overs. So, mountain men back then used what they knew, plants, folk cures, and so on. Many learned from native tribes. This was real medicine, not superstition. And speaking of that, we've got a special episode on the different types of ancient healing techniques used by native medicine men, some of which still apply today. So, be sure to check it out on our channel when it goes live. But yeah, back then, yarrow was key. If you got cut, then you better pack it in. It stops bleeding and fights infection. You chew it, mash it, slap it on. It grew everywhere. And for pain and fever, mountain men used willow bark. You simply boil it into tea, then drink it down. Yeah, it tasted bitter, but it worked. It's got salicin. That's nature's aspirin for you. Also, plantain helped with bites, stings, and rashes. It also fights swelling and blocks infection. You simply crush it and press it on. As for echinacea, it's big for chest stuff, sore throats, and even snake bite. Furthermore, golden seal handled gut bugs and infections. But you know they didn't stop at plants. If a wound kept bleeding, they'd burn it shut with a hot blade. Melted pine resin made a sticky salve. And alcohol was poured straight in. Yeah, it hurt bad, but it worked better. Moreover, branches became splints, torn shirts turned into slings, and if you couldn't walk, you were done. Like we said earlier, moving meant living. After all, not everyone gets hurt near a hospital. So, if you go hiking or camping and a storm hits and your phone dies, no help's coming. What you know might be all you've got. Modern wilderness first aid still teaches this. Clean wounds with what's around. Wrap sprains, treat burns, catch hypothermia early. Know which plants help, which don't. Same idea, basically. Act fast, use what's there, stop it from getting worse. Like we always say, the wilderness doesn't care if you live. It never did. The mountain men knew this. They forged survival from frostbite, hunger, and silence. Today, we've traded flint for Wi-Fi, instinct for algorithms. But the old threats remain. Cold still freezes, storms still drown. So ask yourself, when the screens die and the walls crack, what's left? Not your gear, certainly not your luck. You'll never outsmart the land. The mountain men learned that.